The very first film that really kicked off this year's Celebrating Black Stories program for me was Bat Boy. And so we are thrilled to have the director of Bat Boy here with us, Lemie, and to do this very special Science on Screen Q&A with him. So welcome, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out to this.
And also, I really want to give a huge round of applause for the film crew from Yuri's Way of Enjoying Life and Super Hair, which were also fantastic. Thank you for being here with us. It means a lot. All right, Aaron. So I'm excited to talk to you about Bat Boy in so many different kinds of ways. But really, we were thrilled to discover this story that is science-based, but goes on in so many different ways to really reflect what making community is all about. But part of that community for us is really connecting filmmakers with the audience. We want to make sure you guys have a chance to ask your questions. But tell us about your own journey from, we hear you have a background in neuroscience, actually, to getting to UCLA's Film and Television School and making this amazing science-based story.
So my journey actually starts here in New York on the Upper West Side. This is the first New York screening, so I'm really excited to be here and to screen it for a New York audience. But I grew up with dyslexia and struggled a lot with learning to read and write, but then found that I was interested in science and relatively good at science. And so that kind of launched my curiosity into science and biology, and then went to undergrad for neuroscience and worked in a neuro lab my sophomore year, and just thought it was the most tedious place to work. And especially for a dyslexic, it was a lot of crunching numbers, and it was not great for me. But my curiosity for science remains, and I love making films because I can just scratch the surface of these scientific concepts without actually having to do any data checking or Excel.
Probably your editor has something to say about that. But so what was the inspiration for this? Where did it start?
Yeah, so I went to film school at UCLA, and while I was there, I met a PhD student who was studying bats, and we started talking about what it would look like to make a film about bats. And bats have a bad rep, and so we were talking about how to give them a good publicity. And around that time, I met the actor of this film, Dominic Brown, who's just a fantastic actor on the spectrum. And he was in a program with other actors on the spectrum where he was obsessed with playing the guitar. And so this character that was obsessed with bats kind of started to crystallize, and reached out to him, and he was excited to be in the film. And that's kind of what inspired this.
Fantastic. So you talked a little bit about growing up with dyslexia. This is a beautifully inclusive story, and working with an actor on the autism spectrum. Was that part of developing the story for you? Like, did that kind of inspire this, or was it more integrated already with this bat-focused story?
Yeah, 100%. So, like I said, I grew up on the Upper West Side with dyslexia, and not too far from Central Park, and it was, not being able to read or write in elementary school was really challenging, and I discovered a lot of my own resilience by finding the nature in Central Park and in New York City. And my mom and dad, who are here, would take me to the park and take me fishing in the ponds there. And it was amazing just what kind of life existed in Central Park, and the biodiversity that exists in a city setting like this. So there's a lot of me in Bat Boy's character, this person who's kind of misunderstood, and finds his resilience in nature.
Cool. Yeah, that was part of what really inspired us, was like this idea of urban ecologies, and a community is not just, people, it's different species too, right? But I'm wondering, what was location scouting for like bats in LA like?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. So all the bats that you see in bridges, all the shots of the bats in cracks are real bats in LA that I worked with really closely with a bat scientist, Joey Curdy, and he was kind of the bat producer. So he knew where all the bats were in LA, and we drove around and found the best bridges with the bats living in them. Then the shots at the mine where the bats are coming out of the mine, those we actually filmed in Arizona. We filmed the bats coming out of the mine in Arizona, and then we filmed the actors handling the bats in LA and cut between the two locations, which was, I didn't know if it was going to work, and it was a very exciting day in the editing room when it cut together. And then the bat that they're handling is a rescue bat named Hazel, who is also a great actor to work with. And Hazel is used as an education. She's used in educational settings. So the bat rescuers bring her to classrooms and stuff, so that they can kids can see bats and see that they're quite cute, as Grandma discovers.
Very cool. We had a Science on Screen film that was ornithology based, so they were working with bird specific folks. But one of the interesting things that came up there was like shooting with animals and in this scenario. So obviously you have bat experts, but like how does your crew, how do you work with directing that real stuff that has to, be controlled?
Again, super fun. But also all the close-ups of Hazel in people's hands, those are all bat scientists, real bat scientists with rabies shots who are handling the bat in the close-ups. And then in the wide shots with the real actors, that was a stuffed bat we used. And then the bat that gets caught in the net, that was a real bat that the bat scientist I was working with actually studied. But I do remember my bat scientist took the bat out of the net, and the bat just bit him really hard in the hand. And the director of photography, who's a big, tough-looking guy, said, "If that happened to me, I would be so out of here so fast."
And then working with your crew, like, did you have to get everybody gradually comfortable with bats? Was everybody excited? How did the actors actually? How did the cast kind of come together around the bats?
This was really fun too. It's like Grandma's reaction when she sees the bat up close is pretty much real. She really didn't like bats and was really not excited about having to be close to bats. And then by the end of the shoot, she was like really excited about bats and bat conservation. And that happened throughout the whole process. It's like even during the writing process, I would take it to writing workshops and people would say, "Oh, I never knew this about bats." And the sound, we went to record bat wing sounds and chirping sounds with the sound mixer and his wife, and they were a little ambivalent at first, and by the end of it they were really excited about it. So throughout this whole process we kind of converted people to being bat advocates, bat advocates.
All right, bat lovers. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yeah, we do. Right back there, please.
So hello. Oh, thank you. I want to know if you held a bat.
First of all, this is Jill, my tutor. She taught me how to read and write, so I would not be here without Jill. I did not hold a bat. You have to have a rabies vaccination to hold bats. Even though the prevalence of rabies in bats is the same as any other mammal, so raccoons and dogs, you still need to be rabies vaccinated. So unfortunately, I did not get to hold a bat.
And my second question is, could you hear that like whoo, whoo, whoo of the bat wing really clearly?
Yeah. So when we went to Arizona to film the bats, there's so many bats coming out of that mine that you get hit in the face with bat wings, which is an interesting experience. And the other thing about that sound is our sound designer was really adamant that we get a bat wing sound because it sounds very different than any other kind of winged animal. He said there's like a leathery skin sound to it. So that's a very specific sound that we captured. So thank you for noticing that.
So cool. All right, I think you had a question right here.
I know in the Northeast, white nose is decimating the bat population. In the Southwest, Southern California and Arizona, that has not.
Yeah, it hasn't made it over the Rockies yet. There's been a few cases in Northern California where they've found the spores. White nose is a fungus that basically grows on the noses of bats and wakes them up during their torpor, which is like a hibernation for bats. And it drains their energy over the course of a winter so that when they wake up in the spring, they don't have the energy reserves they need to hunt efficiently. So this fungus has decimated bat populations all across the Northeast and Southeast. It hasn't migrated over the Rockies, but it can spread on people's shoes. So if people that like caving or rock climbing, that's a way that it spreads. And so they've found spores here and there, but it hasn't hit any bat populations. But bat scientists in the Southwest and Western U.S. are very, very worried about this because it would be devastating. I also learned that LA has the biggest biodiversity of bats in North America, or not LA, Southern California and Arizona. So again, if white nose came to that area, it would be really bad news for bats.
Wow, amazing. One more question over there.
Thank you. Is any of the rest of your family on the autism spectrum?
None of my, thank you for that question. None of my direct family is, but my mom works with people with developmental disabilities, so I grew up around a lot of people with autism. And this character is kind of based on a few people that I'm particularly close to.
Great question. One more over there.
Did you get to go in the mine?
I did not get to go in the mine. There's 5 rattlesnakes there the day that we were there. So
Oh.
literally right at the foot of the mine. So it's rattlesnakes eat bats, and they like mines. So I was good. I didn't need to go into the mine.
Do you think your next film will be centered on nature and?
Yeah, for sure. One of the great things about the Sloan Foundation and this project was, like I said, working with this bat scientist, and he was fantastic to work with, and we became very close friends. We've been traveling around showing this film to people and getting people excited about bats, which has been fantastic. But he also works with quail, and so I shot a little documentary about his quail research with him, and it's kind of inspired a series about environmental scientists that are working to save parts of our planet or species before it's too late. So this film has kind of kicked off a whole new adventure about environmental science and scientists.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're so grateful to Science on Screen and the Sloan Foundation for bringing you and this amazing film to us. Last question I have for you. Do you have any advice for young, creative, curiosity-minded would-be scientists or filmmakers or artists out there?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the first films I directed was a little tiny film about an invasive beetle in the Northeast, and I shot it with a camera that I borrowed. And so I just encourage all of the young people in the audience, if there's a topic or something that sparks your interest, and you have an idea for a film, go do it. We have these amazing technology now in our pockets, and we can shoot amazing films. And it's really, that little film that I made about the beetle kind of inspired all of this and my interest in making films about science in general. So yeah, definitely follow your passion and do it. It's
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us, Aaron.
Thank you all so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all the filmmakers. And thank you for your great questions and for being such a great and supportive audience. Take care.